Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And welcome, Yuval, Ben, Keshet, and Gilad. It's not every day that you get to have the four hyperscalers side by side, maybe only in the trading platforms for those of you who trade. And there's a very special reason for that, because this panel is about one of the most interesting things in AI, which is the future. So in the next 20 minutes, we have a great opportunity, a rare opportunity, to talk with those great tech leaders about their view, their take on the next big thing in AI. So we'll start with a short round of introduction, and then we'll dive right in. Yuval, we'll start with you and with me.
Yeah, hi everyone, Yuval Passov. I lead Google for startups in emerging markets. For the last 13 years in Google, we're leading before the gaming team, then we're 4 years in Singapore, and for the last 3 years working with early stage startups, helping them grow, connect them with Google Tech and the Googlers all around the world. And yeah, great to be here.
Good morning, Ben Haklai. I'm the National Technology Officer for Microsoft here in Israel. Been with the company almost 10 years, and now focused on those very significant projects we're driving here in Israel, and especially on AI, cyber, and quantum, the areas they focus on.
Hello, I'm Keshet Brosh. I'm GenAI Business Development Manager in AWS. That means that I work in AWS across all our AWS customers on their GenAI use cases, from ideation all the way to production. Also doing the go-to-market theme of GenAI in Israel, so working with communities and events and partnerships. Been in AWS for 2 years, and before that, been in Google, actually, on the ed tech side.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name is Gilad Gershon. I lead the AI native startups partnerships at Nvidia, working with startups basically from all stages, that AI is part of their main core or the only core in some cases. And thank you for joining, and looking forward for this panel.
I have my own. So, hi everyone, I'm Hila. I'm a serial entrepreneur and early stage investor. I founded my first startup in 2007, and since then I was very lucky to serve in several leadership roles in great companies. About 10 years ago, I moved to the dark side and became an investor. I invested in many startups from basically 0 to 1, and today I lead FutureFirst, a vertical AI dedicated VC fund. Thank you for joining us. I would like to start this panel with a short story. A few days ago, my 15-year-old teenager was doing his homework in the living room with a bunch of his friends, and their assignment was to analyze one of the most beautiful love songs in Hebrew. And then the question they were asked was, listen up, describe how this poem makes you feel. Anyone wants to guess what they did next? Of course, like every teenager on the planet, they went to the chat, doesn't matter which, and they asked the chat, how does the song makes them feel? And that, in a nutshell, in my view, is the inner tension of AI. On one hand, we have this amazing tool for knowledge and development. On the other end, it raises some pretty serious questions about humanity. So Ben, this one is for you. With AI changing everything, and changes the way we learn, the way we shop, the way we travel, do you think AI will draw society away from our human essence, or maybe it could make us more human and more connected?
So you wanted to start with a light question, like let's not dive.
Yeah,
okay.
This is how I roll.
Love it. So I think you used the word tool, and that's the word I connect most to. So I think that generally when we talk about generative AI, yes, it's a very powerful tool. It's very significant. It will change the fabric of the way we do stuff, we work, how we connect to some degree, but it's still a tool, okay? And that's the way we as a company look at it, that's the way I look at it, and I think that it will, again, drive a lot of change, but what will determine the way we use it is how effective we can use it with human traits. And when I think of Israel specifically, I think we have, I don't know, a trifecta, I think, of capabilities and sort of traits that will allow us to excel in this area. And that's initiative, the ability to manage very, very complex and sometimes long-term processes. And then the last one is, I don't know how to put it politically, but not being addicted too much to hierarchy, right? So I think that those traits will allow us to sort of fast track the way we use AI, but I don't think it will change the fabric of our humanity aspects. I think there will still be a lot of room for us to create. I think this is a tool that will enhance that will allow us to do more, but I hope I'm right. It won't change our essence as humans and the way we connect and create and do a lot of stuff in the world.
So there's room for optimism still, always.
That's where I come from.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben. And Gilad, this one's for you. We see so many things that AI is doing that we used to think only humans can do, even write stories, compose music, coding, and so much more. What kind of, from your perspective, which emerging AI trends do you find most exciting in the next years?
Yeah, so I think that for the next few years, we are starting to see in the world a lot of, the term is AI factories. So multiple gigantic data centers, AI data centers, are being built across the world. We can see it nationwide. We can see data centers that are being built for nations, for protecting nations, for all kinds of reasons. We call it AI factories mainly because it's a gigantic facilities that we never saw before. Now, around this, there's many use cases and gaps that startups can close. So basically, we are starting to see startups, and I believe we will see much more in 26 startups that are getting from stealth mode, that are starting to build solutions for facility, for electricity optimization, which is super important for those facilities, for those AI factories. We're starting to see also optimizations around cooling and optimization around cooling in the chip level, which we're starting to see more startups all around the world and from Israel, of course. And I believe that we will see more in the next few months. I know we're going to see more. And it's super, super important, especially in this time that those AI factories are being built, new use cases, new opportunities for founders to prosper.
So from endless opportunities that Gilad mentions, I want to share a quote from Sam Altman, who was sitting right here a couple of years ago in Tel Aviv and said the following. He said that this is the best time in the history of technology ever to start a company. He said that if you're an entrepreneur right now, today, you are a very lucky one. So Yuval, you work with entrepreneurs on a daily basis, and from your intense work with them, how do you see this era when it comes to founding new companies?
So I think that one thing about children, I have a 10 years old that started to vibe code like 6 months ago, and I'm very happy that he's not playing Fortnite and he's doing vibe coding. But it's amazing. He started to do like worksheets and all like thinking about the business model, think about how you can make money and who will get the money. If I will get the money, we will share. But I think that the idea that he created beautiful app and just in the prompt he used like beautify this app and make it, looking better. And I'm thinking just if he's 10 years old and he managed to create this amazing website, I'm a little bit afraid, but this is bringing me to like...
Why? Prepare for retirement. This is the time.
Exactly. We have all to prepare for retirement. But I think that this is like the three things that I see with founder. One is the barrier to entry. Very quickly, you see founders get to an MVP in a matter of like, a weekend, hours, depending on what they are doing. So this is one thing that very easily you can do, something that we would dream a few years ago. I think that the other one is niche down and going very specific. And I think that it's related to what Gilad said. going to a very specific sub-vertical. So it can be a supply chain, it can be a legal tech workflow in a specific thing. And it's not AI for everything. It's a very specific solution. And this is why it's harder to get off the shelf and someone to compete with you. And I think that the last one is the wrapper trap that we heard in the beginning. Everyone put a wrapper on top of the AI, but the problem is that if you don't have the data loop, something that, by users using your product, okay, and then you get the data from the users, how they, if it's agriculture, if it's climate, if it's something very specific, if you don't have that unique data, it will be very hard for you to get the mode, to get the differentiation from other companies. I think that's a strength. And the last one is what we call the minicorn. So we'll have unicorn, but then we'll have lots of minicorns. And I see that at Google for Startups. So very small team, 2 to 3 people, have lots of agents. And I think that we started to see that in everywhere. It was the year of AI, now the year of agents. But they actually use agents in so many different, so agent for marketing, agent for product, agent for sales, and they just, have many people working for them, not people, agents. So we'll see less of like smaller companies, but very, very efficient with how they work.
I totally agree. We're seeing a lot of teams, building faster and deeper and focusing on specific industry challenges. But we can't talk about the endless opportunities without talking about the risks. And we know that AI could make a lot of mistakes. It could accidentally share private information. It could make a biased decision or suggest unsafe recommendations. And Keshet, we would love to hear from your experience. How do you help your customers innovate with AI, of course, while maintaining the highest level of responsibility when it comes to privacy, biases, and so on?
So I think, first of all, there is a difference between companies that were established in the last year and a half, 2 years, that were born to GenAI, which you have it in their bones, compared to companies that are now adopting AI. They had a business, they had customers, they had a set of rules, and now they're adopting this new technology. And this is where we see most of the risk, because there's a lot of risk to take when adopting a new technology when you're also already a running business. So I think in this case, there's few elements to take into account. First of all, make sure that you really clarify the business use case that you need to solve with AI. I see companies running to adopt the technology without really thinking about the business use case. And when they're adopting technology, eventually they hold back when it's come to real life and say, do we really need it? Do we take this risk in order to give this value? Is it worth it? And then it's usually where many companies stop. So if you think from the get-go on the business use case, is it worth for you to take that risk and you evaluate it from the get-go, that's an easier task. The second thing is building with tools that are from the get-go, again, from their design phase, are secured. In AWS, we have our frameworks and tools that gives companies the secure of using AI, for example, that the models are hosted only on your data and it's not leaking to other third parties. The regulation that you need if you're working with regulated industries like banking and hospitals and so on. So when you build it from the scratch on regulated tools where it gives you all this principle AI, responsible AI by design, it helps you accelerate faster later. And the third thing is you don't need to invent the wheel. I know it's a new technology and we're all in a rush to adopt it, but there is experience out there. There is experience of how to embed this technology safely. There are frameworks. I know in AWS there is the responsible AI framework. So there is a lot of guidance out there to take and make sure you adopted it from scratch and not facing it only at the end when you launch the product.
Perfect. So there are many things to think in advance and to plan ahead before, rushing to fast adoption. Great. So the next question is actually for all the panelists. It's something that most of us, I think, are concerned about or thinking about when it comes to the era of AI, which is the future of work. We're seeing a lot of predictions saying that many of the jobs and professions that we know today are doomed or soon to be vanished. And people are talking about so many professions disappearing from our work world. And it will be great to hear from your perspective, which capabilities or skills do you think will be most essential or unreplaceable in the next following years?
So I might surprise some of you here, but I think that also it's a quote by Jensen, my CEO, that he's thinking that there's going to be a new renaissance of the blue-collar jobs. For example, electricians and plumbers. Now, when you connect this dot to what I said before about the opportunities that lays beside AI factories, it makes a lot of sense. Because in the end game, you will need people. You will need people who are professional, that can do the work, and that can do things that relating to electricity and plumbing, for examples. And we're going to see more and more people who are going to do those stuff. Also, he actually said that the next wave of millionaires in the US are blue-collar jobs because of the AI opportunities. So it doesn't must to be super innovative, but it can still create jobs. The second thing is about robotics. So I think that in a few years from now, not tomorrow, but maybe the next ChatGPT moment is around robotics. Robotics and autonomous vehicles, and it's also going to create more jobs. I mean, in the end game, it's a manufacturing game, and we will need a lot of people to make it happen. So I'm taking this to the traditional world, that there's a good chance that it's going to prosper again, and to the next wave of innovations in robotics.
I think in my perspective, have the human quality of thinking of the why instead of the how. We're seeing the technology evolve so fast. We keep asking ourselves, how do I do that? And we very much evaluate people that know exactly how to do things. But this become less and less important because the how becomes something that today you do it once and tomorrow you'll do it in a different way, and it's going to be a new technology and a new way to do stuff. And instead of asking you and explore the how, start question the why. Why do I need that? Why there is a problem from the get-go? And have us as humans asking ourselves the why this will be our role in the future of work, as I see it.
So I think the labor market question is divided to two areas, right? So we have the doomers and we have the optimists. And we have to be very careful because the doomers get a bigger share of the media attention, right? It's easier. And it's very hard to predict any upside that's coming. So if we look at previous industrial revolutions, so yes, people could have anticipated what will disappear or the doomsday scenario, and they had a very hard time estimating the upside. So we need to be modest. Personally, I'm on the optimist side again. And I think that a lot of the new opportunities will open up, similarly to what we saw in the software industry. So I don't know how back you go in software developing, but going back, and the abstraction layers just kept growing. Did we see developers disappear? Quite the opposite. We saw a huge demand, a reduction in cost, and we saw a lot more jobs created by that. So I'm not saying the road is very clear ahead. There will be a huge disruption, obviously in the shorter term, but overall I think there is a very optimist future for the human labor market more generally.
Yeah. So if we all think about we need IQ right at the beginning. Then we were talking about EQ. And I think that for me, the third one is the AQ, the ability to be adaptable. And I think that as I try, and we are at the big companies, we see products being launched on a daily basis. At the beginning, I was trying to get to understand what's other companies are launching. Now I'm trying to get ahead of what Google is launching, and it's really hard. And I think that one of the people that will success is the one that will be able to adapt if it's new models. So there was one model that was really the dominant one, but there is some new models like Gemini that been doing amazing work. And again, you should test. You should go from one model to another, and if something worked for you better, you need to do the process of kind of like relearning and trying new tools, because I think that this is a big thing. The other thing that I see, it's not about like the future of work, but it's more about like how we can be to stay relevant. One of my things that I try to give in my lectures is how you can still be relevant where the whole thing is changing, is using AI as a thought leader partner. And I think that, again, here you can ask him about summarize your emails or book meetings, but you can also use it as the devil advocate, as acting as different personas, as working with you on your strategy. And I think that the last thing is about the being critical curation about the thing that happening, all over. And I think that as AI is generating of what we all heard about the AI slop, I think that it's also, you will be able to differentiate yourself as a leader, as a tech worker, as whatever you're doing, by the ability to really understand, okay, if this is, useful, this is practical for me, and then the ability to be critical about that, so critical thinking overall. So I think that this is like three things that will be relevant for you as staying relevant in the future of work.
Great. So if to summarize, just to recap, I think most of us will not, or people will not be replaced by AI, but a great saying says that people will be replaced by other professionals that know how to use AI. So that's a very good point. And the other thing I think we all should bear in mind, that soft skills are still irreplaceable, as Keshet mentioned, and I totally agree. And this is our differentiation. And there's not going to be something that was going to replace it in the near future. And we need to keep our advantage on this aspect. And our last question is about the thing that we all here are very passionate about, being Israelis, and me personally as an Israeli investor investing in Israeli founders, is the role that Israel will play in this AI era. So from your perspective, you all have a very unique perspective into the Israeli innovation ecosystem. You're seeing many startups on a daily basis. And it would be great to close this panel with your perspective on which fields or domains do you think Israel is emerging as an AI powerhouse?
So very quickly, I think that the most significant advantage we have in Israel is the human capital. And we've seen it time and time again, and that's the area the nation as a nation need to focus on, right? Rebuilding or continue building our human capital and expertise. Yeah. As per the areas that's going to emerge as being led, hopefully, by Israel. So I think cyber is the most prominent example. I should know we have a huge cyber security development center here in Israel, now focusing both on securing with AI and securing AI, but also in other fields such as quantum, right, and others. So I think we should continue reinforcing that type of advantage we have, and not look at it as a sort of talent vacuum that prohibits from other areas to grow, but rather an area that is a leap, right, to other areas to lead in. So I think cyber would be my best bet. And again, both securing AI workloads, which is something completely new, right? Now we have agents running in our organization, and we need to secure them, right? We need to give them access rights. We need to, anyway. And using AI for security, which is, again, another huge paradigm that we need to focus on. So these are the areas.
So cybersecurity for AI. That's
Yes,
your bet.
and using
everything
AI
you
for
say
AI.
can and will be
Exactly.
used against you in the next AI week. So,
Of course.
no, just kidding. So perfect. Great.
In my perspective, we're strong, our startups are strong in the application layer. So the day-to-day use, the users that we meet at the end, we know how to solve their problems. We know how to have them enjoy the products. And I think that's going to keep going on the Israeli startups. They know how to use the AI to really be a place for the end user to start and enjoy and use the app. So I see the application layer of startups just keeps growing with new apps that are AI-based or AI first, that give a new experience that we haven't experienced before, and also solving one of the business problems that we're facing as individuals on our day-to-day. So I expect that to grow, and I'm expecting the Israeli startup to come with these new ideas and initiatives.
I'll be super quick. I think that one of the advantages that we have here, of course, human capital, totally agree. We have startups here who are creating their own foundational models from scratch. So they're not only working with APIs, they're creating their own uniqueness across different verticals and different technologies. I can give, of course, all kinds of examples, but we don't have that much time. But I think that we should keep up with that speed of startups that creating their own foundational models across all kinds of AI aspects, and to keep our advantages in that space as well.
And I will just end up on the people. I think that in the last 2 years, for all the people who traveled from outside of Israel for this conference, if you can raise your hand. Okay. So for the last 2 years, following October 7, I think that the Israeli founders showed the ability to, code from shelter bomb, doing reserve for 3 days, coming back to their startup, continuing, raising the next round. And I think that it's something that across the world, working with founders across the world, it's something very unique that we have here. And with the AI changing so much, so it doesn't matter, if you start in a one vertical or a specific startup, you probably will pivot so many times. And I think that Israeli founders have the ability to do this pivot and do it successfully. So I think that, that's the important thing. And the world is seeing that. We see all the big VCs coming here, if it's defense tech, if it's cyber, but if it's also B2C and other verticals. So, yeah. Go for the Israeli founders.
Thank you very much. We're expecting a baby boom of AI innovation, and you're all welcome to join us for the celebration. And thank you for your time, and thank you guys for being so honest and great.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the day.